Your obsession with safety is the assassin of your own greatness. You are building a fortress of certainty around yourself, a world of plans, of research, of endless preparation. You think this fortress is protecting you. It is not. It is imprisoning you. Safety is the beautiful, gilded cage that keeps your life small. It is the warm, comfortable, velvet-lined coffin of your potential. And you are nailing the lid shut yourself. With every risk you refuse to take, with every action you postpone in the name of being ready. Try, fail, learn, and then repeat without your damn ego. That is the entire operating system of success, the entire code of the creator, the warrior, the champion. It is a brutal, efficient, beautiful loop. But your ego is terrified of the second step, the failure, the part where you do not look good, the part where you are exposed as a beginner, a novice, a fool. So you avoid the entire loop. You stay in the comfortable, theoretical world of planning, where you can never fail and you can never look foolish. You must be willing to execute your ego, to sacrifice it on the altar of your own growth, because your ego and your growth cannot coexist. One of them must die.
Speed creates the feedback. Feedback is what creates the winning. You are moving too slowly. You are too precious with your ideas. You're treating your first attempt like it is your final masterpiece. That is the strategy of the amateur. It is the path to irrelevance. The professional understands that speed is a weapon. They launch the ugly prototype. They ship the imperfect first version. They get the idea out of their head and into the real world as fast as humanly possible. Because the real world is the only place where you can get the brutal, honest, priceless feedback that will show you the path to making it better. You're trying to win the war in your command tent. The war is won or lost on the battlefield of real-world contact. Perfection is the beautiful lie that delays the only thing that matters. And the only thing that matters is action. You're waiting to get it perfect before you act. You're waiting for the perfect product, the perfect plan, the perfect moment. This is not a strategy. This is a disease. Perfectionism is just a highbrow, socially acceptable form of fear. Fear of judgment, fear of criticism, fear of failure. You must be willing to be imperfect to be powerful. You must be willing to be messy to be a creator. Done is the engine of more. Perfect is the brake that stops everything. Let go of the fantasy of perfection and embrace the brutal, beautiful reality of just getting it done.
Your failures are just data. They are not your damn identity. You take every setback, every miss, every failure, and you internalize it. You use it as evidence to build a case against yourself. See, I'm not good enough. I knew I couldn't do it. I'm a failure. This is a story you are telling yourself. A weak, self-serving, destructive story. A failure is an event. It is not a person. It is a data point. It is not a definition of your character. The professional, the warrior, treats failure like a scientist. They look at the data without emotion. They find the variable that caused the failure. They adjust the variable, and they run the experiment again. Stop making your failures into a tragedy and start using them like a scalpel to cut away your own ignorance. Short, brutal, iterative cycles will always beat long, beautiful paralysis. You are trying to build the entire cathedral in one go. You have a grand, perfect vision in your head, and you are paralyzed by the sheer scale of it. The professional does not do this. They build in small, ugly, rapid cycles. They build one single imperfect arch. They test it. They learn from it. Then they build the next one, a little better, a little stronger. This is the loop. Build,
test, learn, repeat. It is not glamorous, it is not romantic, but it is the only thing that actually builds the cathedral while you are still in your office admiring the perfect blueprints. Stop planning the perfect journey and start taking the first, small, imperfect step of the real one. Celebrate the quickness of your learning, not the flawlessness of the launch. Your metrics of success are all wrong. You are measuring yourself by the wrong standard. You are looking for the perfect, flawless, victorious outcome. And when you do not get it, you judge yourself as a failure. The real metric of success, especially in the beginning, is the speed at which you are learning. How fast can you go from idea to action? How fast can you go from action to failure? How fast can you go from failure to lesson? How fast can you go from lesson to new, smarter action? That is the game. The person who can cycle through that loop the fastest is the person who will inevitably win. Optimize for speed of learning, not for perfection of outcome. You have to cut the shame, and you must keep the valuable lesson. Shame is the useless, toxic byproduct of failure. It is the ghost that haunts you after the battle is over. It serves no purpose. It only makes you weaker. It makes you afraid to get back into the arena. You must learn to perform a surgical separation between the shame and the lesson. The lesson is the gold. The shame is the dirt. You must be a ruthless gold miner, sifting through the dirt and the mud of your own failure to find the priceless nuggets of wisdom within. Keep the gold, throw away the dirt, and then use that gold to forge a better weapon for the next fight.
You must iterate until the final outcome is obvious to everyone. Success is not a single event. It is a process of evolution. You start with an ugly, flawed, imperfect version 1, and you expose it to the brutal reality of the world, and the world gives you feedback. It punches you in the face, and you take that feedback, you learn from it, and you build a slightly less ugly, slightly less flawed version 2. And you repeat that process 100 times, 1,000 times, until the thing you have built is so strong, so effective, so powerful that its success is no longer a question. It is an inevitability. You do not get to the masterpiece in one leap. You get there through 1,000 brutal, humbling, relentless iterations. Fall in love with the process of iteration, because it is the only path to the creation of real value. The absolute fastest route to the wins you want is through fearless, relentless, unapologetic testing. You are treating your ideas like precious, fragile jewels that you must protect from the harsh realities of the world. Your ideas are worthless until they have been tested. They are just fantasies in your head. You must become a ruthless, tireless, mad scientist in the laboratory of your own life and your own business. You have a hypothesis. Your job is to test it as quickly and as cheaply as possible. Most of your tests will fail. Good. Each failure is a hypothesis that you can cross off the list. Each failure gets you one step closer to the one that will work. The person who runs the most tests wins. The person who is the most willing to be wrong is the person who will eventually be the most right.
Your safety is a cage you have decorated to look like a home. You have surrounded yourself with certainty, with predictable routines, with known outcomes, with no risk. You have optimized your life for the absence of pain. And in doing so, you have also optimized it for the absence of growth. They are two sides of the same coin. You cannot have one without the other. Your soul did not come here for safety. It came here for the adventure of becoming. And the adventure only begins where the comfort zone ends. You must have the courage to leave the cage, to step out into the wild, unpredictable, dangerous world, where you might fail, where you might get hurt, where you might be judged. That is the only place where you will ever truly feel alive. The ego is the enemy of the loop. Try, fail, learn, repeat. Your ego loves the try part, it hates the fail part. Because the ego is a fragile, insecure thing. Its entire identity is built on being right, on looking good, on being the expert. Failure is a direct threat to that identity, so your ego will do everything in its power to avoid failure. It will convince you to plan more, to research more, to wait more. It will tell you 1,000 lies to keep you from taking the risk. The warrior must wage a silent, internal war against their own ego every single day. You must be willing to sacrifice your ego's need to look good on the altar of your own need to actually get good.
Speed is not about being reckless. It is about being smart. It is about shortening the feedback loop, the time between your action and the world's reaction. The longer that loop is, the slower you learn. The slower you learn, the slower you win. You are moving with the speed of a glacier when you need to be moving with the speed of a hummingbird. Launch it, ship it, post it, send it. Get it out there now. The feedback will tell you what to do next. You cannot steer a parked car. You must get the car moving, even if it is in the wrong direction. Once you are moving, you can always course correct, but you cannot do anything from a dead stop. And you have been at a dead stop for far too long. Perfectionism is a terminal disease of the will. It is a slow, creeping paralysis that kills all action. You are using your high standards as a shield to protect you from the messy, imperfect reality of creation. But that shield is also a prison. It is keeping you from ever producing anything of real value. The world does not reward your perfect intentions. It rewards your imperfect, completed, real-world actions. The messy, flawed, vulnerable thing that you actually ship is infinitely more powerful than the perfect, beautiful, flawless thing that only exists in your own head. Liberate yourself from the tyranny of perfection and embrace the messy, glorious freedom of just getting it done.
Failure is a data point, not a destination. You fail and you set up camp there. You build a little house of shame and regret, and you live in it for weeks, months, even years. You are confusing the event with your identity. The failure was a thing that happened. It is not who you are, unless you choose to make it so. The professional, the warrior, visits the site of the failure. They are like a forensic investigator at a crime scene. They are there to gather evidence, to learn what happened. And then they leave. They do not move in. They take the data and they use it to inform their next move. Stop living in the graveyard of your past failures and start using them as the fuel for your future victories. Short cycles are the antidote to paralysis. Your big, hairy, audacious goal is terrifying you into inaction, so you must break it down into the smallest possible cycle of action and feedback. What can you build in a week, in a day, in an hour? What is the minimum viable product you can create and test right now? This is not about thinking small. It is about acting small, with a big, long-term vision in mind. These short, rapid cycles build momentum. They build confidence. They build the skill of learning and adapting, and they are the only thing that will get you to the top of the mountain, while the dreamer is still at the bottom, paralyzed by the view.
Celebrate the lesson, not the victory. Your definition of a win is all wrong. You think a win is a flawless launch, a perfect outcome. And so you experience very few wins. The warrior has a different definition. A win is a lesson learned. A win is a flaw discovered. A win is an assumption that has been proven wrong. Because each one of those failures is a priceless piece of intelligence. That makes you smarter, stronger, and more effective for the next battle. You must learn to celebrate the brutal, humbling, beautiful process of learning. Because that is the only process that leads to a victory that lasts. Cut the shame like a surgeon. Shame is the cancer that grows in the darkness of your ego. It serves no productive purpose. It does not make you better. It makes you smaller. It makes you afraid. You must become a ruthless surgeon of your own mind. When you feel the shame of failure creeping in, you must cut it out with the scalpel of radical self-acceptance. Yes, I failed. That is a fact. But it is not who I am. I am a person who tries hard things, and sometimes I fail. The failure is an event. The learning is the outcome. Keep the lesson, which is the medicine, and throw away the shame, which is the poison.
Iterate until the win is inevitable. This is not about hope. This is not about luck. This is about a relentless, systematic process of refinement. You are a sculptor, and your first attempt is a rough, shapeless block of stone. Your job is to make 1,000 small, precise cuts, based on the feedback you are getting, removing a little here, sharpening an edge there, over and over and over, until the masterpiece that was hidden inside the stone is revealed. The final outcome is not a mystery. It is the logical, inevitable result of 1,000 iterations. The person who is willing to iterate the most is the person who will always win in the end. The fastest route to where you want to go is through a minefield of fearless testing. You are trying to find a safe, predictable, paved road to your goal. That road does not exist. The only road is a muddy, dangerous, unmarked trail through a dense jungle. And the only way to navigate it is to take a step, see what happens, and then adjust. To test, to experiment, to be willing to be wrong. Fearless testing is the engine of all innovation and all progress. Your fear of being wrong is the brake that is holding you back. You must be willing to press the accelerator of experimentation and to crash a few times. That is the only way you will ever learn how to drive, and the only way you will ever reach your destination.
Your cage is built with the bricks of your what-ifs. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm not good enough? Each question is another bar on your cell door. The only way to break out is to stop asking the questions and to start gathering the data. You will never know the answer until you try. You will never know if you can succeed until you risk failing. The answers you seek are not found in your head. They are found in the arena, in the messy, brutal, beautiful reality of action. Your safety is a slow death. Your fear is a ghost, and your potential is a caged lion starving for a fight. It is time to open the cage. It is time to kill the ghost. It is time to get in the damn arena and to find out what you are really made of. The feedback is waiting for you. Go get it. This is the only loop that matters. Try, fail, learn, repeat. It is the loop that builds empires. It is the loop that forges champions. It is the loop that creates all things of value in the world. And it is the loop you have been avoiding because your ego is too fragile to handle the fail part. Today is the day that ends. Today is the day you declare war on your own ego. You decide that your growth is more important than your comfort, that your progress is more important than your pride, and that the lessons from your failures are more valuable than the applause for your perfect, imaginary successes. Get in the loop and stay there until you have won.
The prize is not in the flawless victory. The prize is in becoming the person who is no longer afraid to fail. That is the only victory that truly sets you free. Go earn it now.